In a small village nestled in the heart of the African savannah, there lived a young man named Jabari. He was known for his courage, kindness, and dedication to his community. But despite his many virtues, Jabari had one pressing concern. He had reached the age where many of his friends were getting married, yet he had not found a wife. Jabari wasn't in a hurry to marry just anyone. He wanted a woman who was not only beautiful but kind, intelligent, and strong in spirit. He often dreamed of meeting someone who would not only be a partner in life but also a partner in the quiet moments of the night, someone who understood the deep thoughts that roamed his heart. One evening, after a long day of hunting, Jabari walked through the forest on his way home. The full moon hung low in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the land. As he passed by a large baobab tree, he heard a faint rustling in the bushes. Curiosity overtook him, and he moved toward the sound, carefully parting the leaves. There, lying in the clearing, was a woman. She was unlike anyone Jabari had ever seen before. Her skin was a deep, rich brown, shimmering in the moonlight, and her long black hair flowed like a river down her back. Her eyes were large and gleamed like two amber jewels. "Are you lost?" Jabari asked, his voice low and soothing. The woman looked up at him, her eyes wide with fear. I have no home," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jabari felt an overwhelming sense of protection towards her. He offered his hand and helped her to her feet. "I am Jabari," he said. "Come, you will stay in my village. You are safe now." The woman, who introduced herself as Zuri, smiled softly, but there was something mysterious about her smile that Jabari couldn't quite place. Over the next few weeks, Zuri settled into Jabari's village, and as time passed, she and Jabari grew close. Zuri was everything Jabari had ever wanted in a partner. She was kind, intelligent, and brave, and soon, he asked her to marry him. The villagers, however, began to whisper. They had noticed something strange about Zuri. She was always seen during the day, helping the women in the village, cooking, and fetching water. But at night, when the village gathered around the fire, Zuri was never present. She always retired early to the hut she shared with Jabari. And Jabari himself noticed that every morning, Zuri seemed more tired than the night before, as though she had spent the night wandering the savannah instead of resting. Despite the whispers and his own suspicions, Jabari dismissed the strange occurrences. He loved Zuri deeply and believed that her mysterious nature was simply a part of her charm. But soon, the whispers became too loud to ignore. One evening, after spending time with his friends by the fire, Jabari returned to his hut and found Zuri missing. Panic set in. He searched the village but found no trace of her. It wasn't until he heard a soft meow from outside his hut that his heart sank. There, standing in the moonlight, was a large black cat. Its eyes gleamed like amber jewels, exactly like Zuri's. Jabari's heart raced. The cat slowly padded toward him, its gaze never leaving his. Without thinking, he reached out to the cat, and as soon as his fingers brushed its fur, it transformed before his eyes. The black cat disappeared, and there, standing in its place, was Zuri. "Zuri!" Jabari gasped, his voice thick with disbelief. Zuri's eyes were filled with sorrow as she wrapped her arms around herself, stepping back from Jabari. "There is something I must tell you," she began. I am not like the other women in the village. I am under a curse, one placed upon me by a jealous spirit. Every night, when the moon rises, I am transformed into a cat, and I wander the savannah until dawn. Jabari stared at her, struggling to understand. Why didn't you tell me? Why hide this from me? Tears filled Zuri's eyes. I was afraid, she whispered. Afraid that you would reject me, that you wouldn't love me if you knew the truth. Jabari's heart softened. He reached out to her and took her hand. I love you, Zuri. Whatever course you bear, we will face it together. Zuri's tears fell freely now, and she embraced Jabari, grateful for his acceptance. But even as she held him, a deep sadness gnawed at her heart. The cause was not only a nightly inconvenience. It was something much darker, something she feared would one day consume her entirely. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Jabari and Zuri's love remained strong, but the curse weighed heavily on them both. Zuri's transformations became more frequent, and soon, she was spending more time as a cat than as a human. Jabari sought help from the village elders, but none could break the curse. Then, one night, as the full moon shone brightly in the sky, Zuri did not return to her human form. Jabari searched the savannah, calling her name, but she remained a cat, her amber eyes watching him from the shadows. Desperate, Jabari sought out the village's oldest elder, a woman known for her wisdom and knowledge of the spirit world. There is a way to break the curse, the elder said, her voice soft and grave. But it comes at a great cost. What is it? I will do anything, Jabari replied. The elder looked deep into his eyes. The spirit that caused Zuri is a powerful one. To break the curse, you must confront the spirit and offer something of equal value in exchange for Zuri's freedom. Jabari's heart sank. He knew what the elder meant. The only thing he could offer of equal value was his own life. That night, Jabari prepared for his journey to the spirit's lair. He traveled deep into the forest, guided by the moonlight and the soft meows of the cat that followed him, the cat that was once his beloved Zuri. After hours of working under the light of the full moon, Jabari and Zuri arrived at the river's edge. The elders had told Jabari that if Zuri's curse were to be broken, she must be washed in the river's sacred waters, waters rumored to hold the strength and wisdom of the ancestors. Standing by the river, with the moon casting silver light on its rippling surface, Jabari felt a surge of hope, but also fear. Zuri, in her cat form, padded softly at his side. Her amber eyes, glowing with sadness and fear, looked up at him, as if searching for reassurance. Jabari knelt beside her, gently stroking her fur. Tonight, my love, he murmured, we free you from this curse. I will be with you, no matter what happens. With great care, Jabari lifted Zuri, who transformed back into her human form the moment her feet touched the water. Standing beside him, she looked down at the river, her face tense with worry. Will this truly work? She whispered. Her voice quivered, a mix of hope and despair. Jabari took her hand, his own heart racing. It will, he promised. The river holds the power of our ancestors. It will see your heart, and they will take pity on you. Together, they stepped into the river. The water was cold but soothing, wrapping around them like an embrace. Jabari began to scoop the water into his hands, letting it flow over Zuri's head, her shoulders, her arms. Each time the water touched her skin, she closed her eyes, her body trembling as though a weight was being lifted. As he continued, Zuri felt a strange warmth spread through her, as if the river was washing away not just the cause but years of sorrow and fear. Her hands, once tense, relaxed, and she let the water run over her, feeling each drop like a blessing. The moonlight bathed them both, and the river seemed to glow, alive with ancestral spirits. Then, a low hum filled the air, a sound as ancient as the earth itself. Jabari and Zuri both froze, their eyes wide as they felt a presence surrounding them, an energy both powerful and kind. They could feel the spirits watching, waiting to see if their love was strong enough to lift the cause. Zuri looked into Jabari's eyes, fear flashing across her face. Jabari, if this does work, what if? She choked on her words. What if I forget you? What if I no longer remember who you are? Jabari held her tightly, his voice steady. Then I will remind you every day. I will win your heart again, no matter how many times it takes. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Zuri nodded, surrendering to the moment. She leaned back, letting herself fall fully into the water, her body submerged. For a moment, she lay beneath the surface, the river holding her as if cradling a child. Jabari's hands trembled, and he knelt beside her, his eyes never leaving her. Then, slowly, Zuri emerged, her face radiant and serene. As she rose from the water, Jabari gasped. There was no trace of the cause. Her amber eyes shone with warmth, her skin seemed to glow with a new life, and a calm peace settled over her. But as he looked into her eyes, his heart ached. He saw no recognition there. Who are you? She whispered, looking at him with a soft smile but also with a stranger's curiosity. Jabari felt his heart break, but he forced himself to smile. I am Jabari. I was someone who once loved you. Zuri looked away for a moment, her brow furrowing, as though trying to grasp a memory just out of reach. But it was gone, like a shadow lost to the dawn. She nodded slowly, her expression soft. Thank you, Jabari. She touched his hand, and for a brief moment, he thought he saw a flicker of recognition. But it vanished, and she turned away, her eyes drawn to the moonlit river. Jabari stepped back, giving her space, knowing his presence now was like that of a ghost. He watched her walk to the river's edge, her face filled with wonder at the world around her, now freed from the cause but also from the memory of their love. He walked away from the riverside, feeling as though a part of him had been left behind. In his heart, he hoped that one day, she might remember. Or if not, that he might find her again and win her heart anew. As he disappeared into the shadows of the trees, Zuri looked back, a faint smile tugging at her lips, as if remembering something, a feeling, perhaps, or the echo of a forgotten promise. And so, the legend of Jabari and Zuri was told in the village for generations to come, a tale of sacrifice, love, and the sacred power of the river, which could lift even the darkest cause but could not erase the love left in a soul's deepest memory.